All right, let's dive deep into high-performance trading. Today we're going deep with Brett Steenbarger's Enhancing Trader Performance. This book is packed with insights from psychology, sports, even real-world trading experiences to help us, the readers, understand what makes those top traders tick.
Oh, it's fascinating how he connects those dots between seemingly unrelated fields. It makes you wonder who knew that Olympic athletes and expert traders had so much in common.
I know, right? And right off the bat, the thing that grabbed my attention was this whole idea of a performance niche, like, finding that trading style and market that's just tailor-made for you, for your personality and skills. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And the book really drives that point home with some pretty incredible examples.
Absolutely, you're spot on. Take Sherry, for instance, the global macro currency trader. She's a prime example of someone who's found her niche. What I find really intriguing about Sherry is her jungle explorer approach. She doesn't just analyze charts, she dives deep into research, building this network of contacts that provide her with those valuable insights into the actions of major market
Oh,
players.
so it's almost like investigative journalism, but for currencies. She's piecing together a story based on those whispers and trends, and from that,
Ugh.
identifying where the big money is moving.
Precisely.
It's incredible.
And then you have someone like David, the S&P 500 scalper. Talk about a completely different animal. He thrives on that fast-paced action, laser-focused on those bid-ask spreads, making split-second decisions. For him, it's more akin to high-stakes poker than economic analysis.
Wow. So while Sherry's out there connecting global events to those currency trends, David's in the trenches, reading the subtle cues of the market like a poker player sizing up their opponents.
That's a great way to put it. And it highlights the point that there's no single right way to trade. Success comes from finding your own rhythm, the approach that resonates with your individual strengths.
Absolutely. And it's not just about those high-intensity traders either. The book talks about Pat, the part-time momentum equity trader who balances his trading with a full-time career and family life. He focuses on longer-term trends, minimizing risk, proving you don't have to live and breathe the market 24/7 to find success.
Right. Pat's approach really challenges that stereotype of the sleep-deprived, caffeine-fueled trader. It's a good reminder that trading can be tailored to fit different lifestyles and risk tolerances. And then you have Ellen, the systematic options trader. She's all about data analysis, back testing, meticulously refining her trading system to gain that statistical edge. It's a very process-driven approach.
So if Sherry's the detective
Mhm.
and David's the poker player, Ellen's the scientist, constantly experimenting and optimizing her formulas.
That's a brilliant analogy. And you know what's so fascinating about these diverse examples? They highlight the core message of the book. Finding your performance niche is paramount. It's about self-awareness, understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, and what truly motivates you as a trader.
So before even thinking about strategies
Yeah,
or technical analysis, it's about understanding yourself, huh? Like what gets you fired up? What kind of risks are you comfortable with? What's your natural decision-making style?
exactly. And once you have a clearer picture of your potential niche, the book then delves into this crucial aspect of skill development. And this is where Steenbarger draws some truly insightful parallels to the world of expert performance in other fields.
Yeah. The part about deliberate practice really stood out to me. It's not just about putting in the hours. It's about practicing with intention, setting clear goals,
Yeah.
constantly seeking feedback to refine your skills.
Precisely. And for traders, one of the most powerful tools for deliberate practice is simulation. It's like having a risk-free training ground where you can experiment, push your boundaries, and learn from your mistakes without the fear of real-world consequences.
That's what I found so appealing about this whole concept. It takes the pressure off, allows you to explore different strategies, time frames, even markets, without putting your capital at risk.
Exactly. Steenbarger actually shares his own experience using simulation to practice order entry, scaling positions, and fine-tuning his risk management techniques. It's like having a trading time machine where you can rewind, replay, and analyze specific scenarios to identify weaknesses or refine your approach.
Hold on. That's fascinating. But wouldn't there be a risk that over-relying on simulation could create a disconnect from the real market? Those unpredictable events, the emotional pressure of having real money on the line.
That's a great point. It's definitely something to be mindful of. Simulation is a powerful tool, but it's not a perfect replica of live trading. However, it can be incredibly valuable for mastering those mechanics and building confidence before transitioning to the real world. The key is to use simulation strategically, focusing on specific skills and scenarios that align with your trading goals.
So it's about finding that balance between honing your skills in a controlled environment
Yeah.
and gradually exposing yourself to the real-world dynamics of the market.
Absolutely. And as you progress through deliberate practice and simulation, you'll start to develop those skills and instincts that really set expert traders apart.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting,
Mm.
because the book dives into what those distinguishing characteristics actually are. What makes an expert trader's mind tick differently?
Based on research on expert performance in various fields, Steenbarger identifies three key areas: perception, reasoning, and action reaction. And what's fascinating is that expert traders literally see the market differently. They're able to recognize those subtle patterns and opportunities that novice traders completely miss.
So it's almost like they've developed a sixth sense for the market, huh?
Mm.
They can spot those telltale signs that signal a potential trade, while a novice would just see random noise.
Exactly. The book gives this compelling example of how experienced traders connect seemingly unrelated global events to identify potential safe haven trades, ones that a novice trader would simply overlook. They have this broader context, a mental map that allows them to see the bigger picture and anticipate market
It's
movements.
like they're playing chess. While everyone else is playing checkers, they're thinking several moves ahead, factoring in all these different variables that others might not even consider.
And that brings us to the next key characteristic: reasoning. Expert traders don't just blindly follow rigid rules, they think contextually, adapting their strategies to changing market conditions, making connections that a novice trader wouldn't even fathom.
So it's not just about memorizing a bunch of indicators or strategies. It's about understanding the underlying forces driving the market, being able to adjust on the fly.
Precisely. For example, an expert trader might adjust their stock trades based on economic news affecting the bond market, recognizing that interconnectedness of different asset classes. A novice trader might miss those crucial connections.
It's like they're speaking a different language,
Mm.
a language that only experience and deliberate practice can teach.
Exactly. And finally, when it comes to action and reaction, expert traders execute trades with a decisiveness and efficiency that comes from years of implicit learning. They're not second-guessing themselves or overreacting to every little fluctuation in the market.
They have that calm, almost Zen-like focus, right? Like a surgeon making precise incisions, knowing exactly what needs to be done.
That's a great analogy. They've developed an intuitive understanding of risk and opportunity, and they act on it with confidence. Now, what's important to understand is that these expert qualities aren't simply innate talents. They're developed through years of focused effort and the right kind of practice.
So it's not just about having a high IQ or a natural knack for trading. It's about putting in the work, developing those mental muscles through deliberate practice, learning to see the market through a different lens.
Exactly. And speaking of mental models, the book touches on this concept of MECRs, or moderately abstract conceptual representations, which are basically mental maps that experts use to organize information and make sense of complex situations.
Okay, now you've officially lost me.
Hmm.
MECRs. Could you break that down a bit further? What exactly are these mental maps and how do they help traders make better decisions?
Sure. Imagine a trader who's trying to understand the complex relationship between interest rates, currency valuations, and commodity prices. A MACR might represent that relationship visually, like a flowchart, showing how changes in one factor can ripple through the others. It's a way of simplifying complex systems, seeing the interconnectedness of different variables.
So it's like having a mental cheat sheet that helps them connect the dots, anticipate how different market events might play out. That's incredible. It's like having a secret decoder ring for the financial markets.
Exactly. And this ability to see the bigger picture, to connect those seemingly disparate pieces of information, is a hallmark of expert trading. It's not about memorizing a bunch of rules, it's about developing a deep understanding of how the market works, being able to apply that knowledge in real time.
So we've established that expert traders have these incredible mental toolkits. But as you mentioned earlier, trading success isn't just about psychology. There's also the practical mind, the mechanics, tactics, and strategies that need to be mastered.
Absolutely. Steenbarger introduces what he calls the performance pyramid to break down those essential elements of successful trading. At the base of the pyramid, we have the mechanics, the foundational skills that underpin your trading. Things like efficient order entry, finding favorable prices, and managing risk.
It's like the foundation of a house, right? You need a solid base to build upon. Otherwise, the whole structure will crumble.
Precisely. Steenbarger compares it to the precision and coordination of a NASCAR pit crew. Every second counts. Any fumbles or delays can cost the driver valuable time.
Hold on. Wouldn't a Formula One pit crew be a more apt comparison, given the emphasis on those split-second decisions in trading?
You know, You're absolutely right. The speed and precision required in Formula One are even more analogous to what traders face in those fast-moving markets.
So it's not just about knowing when to hit the gas, it's about executing those maneuvers with flawless precision, under immense pressure. No room for error.
Exactly. And that's why mastering those mechanics is so crucial. It's about building that muscle memory, that instinctive ability to execute trades with speed and accuracy, even in the heat of the moment.
I'm starting to realize that trading is much more complex and demanding than I initially thought. It's not just about picking stocks or reading charts. It's a multifaceted skill set. Requires both mental and practical mastery.
It's a journey, for sure, but that's what makes it so challenging and rewarding. And we've only just scratched the surface. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll move up the performance pyramid, exploring those tactical and strategic levels of trading, and delve into those emotional disruptions that can derail even the most skilled traders.
I can't wait to dig deeper. This is fascinating stuff. Stay tuned, folks, because we're about to uncover the secrets to building a winning trading system and achieving your financial goals. Welcome back to our deep dive into enhancing trader performance. So in the last part, we explore the concept of finding your trading niche, honing your skills through deliberate practice, and understanding what sets those expert traders apart.
Yeah, we talked about how they develop that unique perception of the market, make decisions contextually, and act with a decisiveness that comes from, years of experience.
Right. But even with all that skill and knowledge, the emotional side of trading can be a real wild card, right? It's that inner game that can make or break your success.
Oh, absolutely. And Steenbarger doesn't shy away from this aspect at all. In fact, he dedicates a significant portion of the book to understanding and addressing those emotional disruptions that can sabotage even the most promising traders.
Yeah, that makes sense. You could have all the technical skills in the world, but if your emotions are running the show, it's like trying to drive a car with the brakes on. So where do these disruptions come from? What are those triggers that can throw a trader off their game?
Well, Steenbarger identifies three primary sources. The first is inadequate training, which can lead to frustration, impulsive actions, and a fear of taking risks. It's like trying to climb Mount Everest without the proper preparation. You're setting yourself up for failure.
Right. You need to have that solid foundation, that confidence in your abilities to navigate the market's ups and downs.
Precisely. And the second source of disruption is a mismatch between a trader's strengths and their chosen trading niche. Remember how we talked about finding that sweet spot? Well, if you're forcing yourself into a style that clashes with your personality, decision-making style, or emotional temperament, it's going to create inner conflict and likely lead to poor performance.
It's like trying to be a concert pianist. When you're really a rock drummer at heart, your talents are going to be stifled.
Exactly. The book gives an example of a trader who was naturally analytical and methodical, but tried to force himself into that fast-paced scalping style. He was constantly second-guessing himself, missing opportunities, and feeling frustrated. It wasn't until he switched to a longer-term, more research-driven approach that he found his groove.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about aligning your trading style with your natural strengths and temperament. So what's the third source of emotional disruption?
The third major source is deficiencies in risk management, leading to overtrading and emotional swings. When you exceed your risk tolerance, fear and greed can take over, clouding your judgment and leading to impulsive decisions.
That classic cycle of chasing losses. Or getting too greedy when you're on a winning streak. It's like gambling, letting emotions dictate your actions rather than logic and strategy.
Precisely. And what's interesting is that Steenbarger suggests traditional therapy methods might not be as effective for these specific trading-related challenges. They're often rooted in deeper, conditioned responses that need to be addressed in a more targeted way. He suggests borrowing techniques from trauma therapy, focusing on reprocessing those conditioned responses and regaining control.
Trauma therapy for traders. That sounds kind of intense. Can you give me an example of how that might work?
Sure. One powerful tool he highlights is cognitive journaling, specifically the ABC method, where you identify the activating event, your belief about that event, and the consequences of that belief. This helps you understand how your thoughts are influencing your emotions and behaviors.
So let's say I have a losing trade, and I start spiraling into self-doubt, thinking I'm a terrible trader, I'm going to lose all my money. In this case, the losing trade would be the activating event.
Exactly. And the belief would be, I'm a terrible trader. The consequences might be feelings of despair, fear of taking future trades, or even reckless trading to try to make up for the loss.
So how does cognitive journaling help in this situation?
Steenbarger suggests adding a column D for disputation and a column E for effective new thinking. In column D, you challenge that negative belief with evidence or logic. For example, you might remind yourself of past successes or analyze the losing trade to see if there are any external factors that contributed to the loss.
So instead of just wallowing in self-pity, you're actively challenging those negative thoughts, looking for a more objective perspective.
Exactly. And in Column E, you come up with a new, more empowering belief. For instance, instead of "I'm a terrible trader," you might write, "I'm a learning trader who's committed to continuous improvement." Or, "This one loss doesn't define me. I have a solid strategy, and I'll learn from this experience."
So it's about reframing your perspective, shifting from a victim mentality to a growth mindset. That's really powerful. What other techniques does he recommend?
Steenbarger also stresses the importance of relaxation techniques, like breathwork and mindfulness, to calm the nervous system and reduce anxiety, especially in those high-pressure trading situations. These techniques can help you regulate your physiological responses so you can stay clear-headed and focused.
It's like having a panic button you can press when the market throws a curveball. You take a few deep breaths, center yourself, and regain control of your emotions.
That's a great way to put it. And he also introduces the concept of stress inoculation and systematic desensitization. These techniques involve gradually exposing yourself to triggers and developing coping mechanisms.
So instead of running away from those anxiety-provoking situations, you're facing them head on, but in a controlled and manageable way.
Precisely. Let's say you have a fear of taking trades after a string of losses. You might start by simulating small trades, gradually increasing the size as you build confidence. Or you might visualize yourself calmly and successfully executing a trade, even when the market is moving against you.
It's like a form of mental rehearsal, right? Preparing yourself to handle those challenging situations with grace and composure. I'm starting to understand how these techniques from trauma therapy can be applied to the world of trading.
It really highlights the profound impact that our emotions can have on our performance, and the need to develop a robust mental game to navigate those inevitable ups and downs of the market.
It's clear that mastering your emotions is just as important as mastering your trading skills. They go hand in hand.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore Steenbarger's insights into the mechanics, tactics, and strategies that can propel traders from competence to expertise.
Okay, I'm ready to move up that performance pyramid. Let's delve into those practical tools and techniques that can take our trading to the next level. Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into Brett Steenbarger's Enhancing Trader Performance. We've covered a lot, from psychological foundations of success to those emotional hurdles that can trip us up.
Right, like those gremlins in the machine.
Exactly.
We talked about finding your trading niche, mastering deliberate practice, and developing that expert mindset.
But trading expertise isn't just about psychology, is it? It's also about mastering those nuts and bolts of your craft. The mechanics, tactics, and strategies that make up your unique trading system.
Absolutely. You need a structured environment to develop and refine those trading muscles. Steenbarger uses this brilliant analogy. He compares honing your trading skills to working out in a gymnasium. Just as an athlete needs a dedicated space to train their body, a trader needs a similar setup.
I love that analogy. So how do we go about building this trading gymnasium? Where do we even begin?
Well, the foundation of any good training program is observation. It's about developing a keen awareness of both the market and your own actions within it.
So it's not just about watching the ticker tape go by. It's about consciously observing, recording the specific details to identify patterns and areas for improvement. Kind of like a scientist gathering data for an experiment.
That's a great way to put it. Steenbarger even recommends using an observation checklist to track key variables like volume, volatility, price patterns, even your emotional responses to different situations.
Okay, interesting.
Once you have that data, you can start to break down your trading process into its core components, the mechanics, tactics, and strategies.
Right, that performance pyramid we touched on earlier. Let's unpack those levels a bit further.
Okay, so at the base of the pyramid are the mechanics, the fundamental skills that underpin your trading. Things like efficient order entry, finding favorable prices, and managing risks.
Right, and you compared this to a NASCAR pit crew where every second counts and any fumbles can be costly.
Exactly. And remember how you pointed out that a Formula One pit crew might be an even better analogy? Well, the speed and precision required in Formula One are even more similar to what traders face.
Right, it's not just about knowing when to hit the gas. It's about executing those maneuvers with absolute precision under immense pressure.
Precisely. Those fumbles in trading might mean missed opportunities or taking on unnecessary risk, so you've got to drill those mechanics until they're as smooth and effortless as a well-oiled machine.
Got it. So then we move up to the tactical level. What does that entail?
The tactical level involves making short-term decisions and adjustments within your overall strategy. Things like reading order flow, adapting to market volatility, or recognizing patterns that signal a potential entry or exit point.
Okay, so it's like being a skilled chess player, anticipating your opponent's moves and adjusting your strategy accordingly.
Yes. Or, as Steenbarger puts it, like a poker player knowing when to hold 'em and when to fold 'em, based on the strength of your hand and the perceived opportunities.
I like that. So then finally, at the top of the pyramid, we have strategies, that overarching plan and approach that guides your trading.
Exactly. Things like trend following, mean reversion, arbitrage, or a combination of different approaches. But Steenbarger stresses that while having a solid strategy is essential, even the most successful strategies need to be reevaluated and adapted as market conditions change.
Yeah, because what works in one market environment might not work in another, right?
Precisely. He gives the example of a trader whose edge completely disappeared due to a shift in market dynamics. It highlights the need for constant learning and flexibility.
Okay, so it's like having a toolbox full of different tools. You need to know which tool to use for each specific job. Now, how can traders actively work on improving their skills at these different levels?
Well, Steenbarger recommends a technique borrowed from the world of sports, video recording. He suggests recording your trading sessions and then analyzing them in detail, much like an athlete would study game film. It allows you to objectively observe your actions and pinpoint areas where you can improve your mechanics, your tactics, even your overall strategy.
Wow, I've never thought of applying that to trading, but I can see how beneficial that would be. That's like having a coach who can provide that unbiased perspective. You can see those subtle mistakes or inefficiencies that you might not have noticed in the heat of the moment.
And it all ties back to that idea of deliberate practice,
Mhm.
consciously breaking down your actions, seeking feedback, and making those incremental improvements over time. It's about becoming a keen observer of your own performance.
So you're not just trading, you're also studying yourself trading, constantly analyzing and refining your approach.
Exactly. Now, there's one final thought that Steenbarger leaves us with, and I find it quite powerful. He asks us to consider what freedom truly means to us as traders. Is it just about financial independence, or is it something more?
That's a good question. It makes you think about those deeper motivations behind your trading journey. What are you ultimately striving for?
Exactly. And he suggests that trading, like any pursuit of excellence, can be a path to cultivating that freedom. Freedom from external constraints, freedom from those limiting beliefs, and the freedom to live a life aligned with your values and aspirations.
It's a beautiful thought that by mastering this art and science of trading, we're not just seeking profits, we're striving for a deeper sense of agency and self-determination.
It's a journey worth taking.
Well, folks, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Brett Steenbarger's Enhancing Trader Performance. We've covered a lot of ground, from the psychological foundations of success to the practical mechanics of building a winning trading system. But remember, this is just the beginning of your exploration.
There's a wealth of knowledge out there waiting to be discovered. Steenbarger himself provides a fantastic list of resources in the appendix of his book. Informative websites, insightful blogs, inspiring books that can help you further your journey.
So keep learning, keep practicing, and keep striving for that freedom that trading can help you unlock. Until next time.